couple of presentations. We've collected a box of letters for you. This is from your adoring fans in the gallery here today. And the other thing that we have tonight is to present to you with a, you want to help him, Cheryl? Turn it around so you have the names on the top. Okay, this is a petition here. We have 2,600 signatures of the members of Sequim who have signed this petition and ask that you please do not consider putting this facility here. We realize that our opinion is not a reason not to do it, but we would think that you would listen to the people that you're supposed to be representing when something like this comes down the pike and seems to be in the works, that our opinion should matter. I'm sorry that Sandy feels like we're stigmatizing. That's too bad that she has that feeling. But there's a lot of fiction and cherry-picked data that's represented to try to produce a false need for this. Our flyers here will go into that. Some of the data is 8 years old from the DEA database and ignores current data from SAMHSA, defining Sequim as a non-optimal area for this type of facility. We currently have treatment available and open seats go unfilled every day. Suboxone, our opponents state, has a 70 to 80% success rate. The study that comes from is actually from 2006. It's the clinical study that was done to get approval for using it as a treatment. And they've also cherry-picked data from their own facilities, which cannot be verified. The fact is, according to DSHS in 2019, only 51% finished a 12-month program, as opposed to a 12-week program used in the clinical studies. The developers disingenuously claim on their new pamphlet that they just put out that there's no cost to local taxpayers, yet local people will be served. That's what they said on their most recent pamphlet, which is simply untrue. The developers are paid an obscene additional per capita encounter fee in addition to the costs of delivering these services. 48% of enrollees will be housing challenged, 13% criminally involved, and many are known to have a high rate of hospital, EMT, and dependence on public services. In addition to the public grant money paid for building this facility, all of these expenses are paid through taxpayer money. So the idea that we should be building this at no cost to taxpayers is ludicrous, and it's also disingenuous and untrue. It's simply a lie. We all pay for it, both now and later. Finally, I had a message for our representatives here, but they seem to have come out the way they came. It seems clear that our state level officials don't have an interest in Sequim, or if they did, they wouldn't have tried to sneak in the back door to attend the meeting, which is their duty to be here. And they also wouldn't have snuck out the back door. They would have faced their constituents face to face. And we will take a trip down to Olympia. You guys with me? Take a trip down to Olympia.
Tap your gavel.
Thank you, Mayor Smith, for bringing that up. As far as our representatives on City Council, we count on you to be the watchdog for our town. I want to point out, this deal is a bad deal, and this deal is a dead deal. All we need now is a shovel to bury it. All we need now is a shovel to bury it.
Karen Hogan. Yes, Karen Hogan.
Speaking of our legislators, Mike Chapman, 20 years ago this week, along with 3 others, helped save the United States from a terrorist attack. The guy was coming in from Canada, and they were targeting the Los Angeles airport.
Ma'am, could we have your name and address,
sorry.
please?
Karen Hogan. Sorry.
Address?
I'm reluctant to give you my address. And so I would like to ask all of you, can I have your attention please, Jody? Excuse me, can I please have your attention? Would you please make sure that people don't talk during, thank you. I would like to ask everybody who would like to thank Mike Chapman for his courage and service for saving us from a terrorist attack to raise your hand and wave it about. Not very many, I'm surprised. Okay. Here's my comment. And here is a copy of my poem for all of you. Our community has been torn apart these past 6 months. Comments on social media, excuse me please. Our community has been torn apart these past 6 months. Comments on social media have attempted to define who is and who is not worthy of membership in our community. Some have been vilified for their economic status. Excuse me, could you please wait? That's very distracting.
What city are you from?
Our community.
What city are you from?
She's from Sequim. Somebody needs to wrap a gavel.
Can I have some more time?
The requirement was she state her address, and she's continuing even.
I'm going to take my time. I'm going to be Maxine Waters.
It's okay.
Our community has been torn apart these past 6 months.
Yes.
Comments on social media have attempted to find who is and who is not worthy of membership in our community. Some have been vilified for their economic status, others for their ethnicity. I believe the comments that reflect this atmosphere are based on fear of the other. I am hoping that the poem I read tonight, I wrote it 20 years ago, will be an antidote to that fear. Wolf waited. He waited as he did every year on this night. It grew darker and darker, and colder, and still he waited, knowing that she would return. Darkness reached its deepest pitch. The birds, the trees, the ocean, and the rocks grew still. Wolf gazed deeply into the eyes of darkness as wind wove her cold fingers through his rich, thick fur. He closed his eyes, held his breath, and listened as wind whispered, then felt her caress as she flew away. Wolf knew that it was time. He opened his eyes and saw her, a glowing, luminous ember emerging from the opening between the earth and the sky. All right, children, are you ready?
Your time's up.
She did on this day
Your time's up.
what she did on this day every year of Wolf's life. Light returned. On the hill overlooking the ocean, Wolf circled 3 times, lay down, and took his rest. Light wove her warm fingers through his rich, thick fur. Before he left, Wolf whispered to me what wind whispered to him. He wanted me to share it with him. Here's what she told him. Expect to be loved.
Well,
Thank you.
very nice.
Oh, okay, yes, everyone's reminded to please take 3 minutes. Please also maintain order in the gallery and be respectful to each other.
Can we move this to the back so that it's not a distraction? Just grab it and.
Should throw out my garbage can.
We don't need to make it. It's not our.
You did. It's too late.
These are your citizens.
We see that. Excuse me. Sorry.
Henry Howe, 174 Forest Ridge Drive in the county. I wanted to present last meeting a little bit more information on how Anacortes is doing. talking about the Anacortes Methadone Clinic. And there's a couple of things that I want to point out. It's going to take about 24 minutes for the people leaving here in our clinic to come downtown. And I have maps about that. In Anacortes, it's going to take about an hour and 31 minutes to get into the city of Anacortes. This is an ideal location. It's next to the refineries and commercial area. Now then, why is that important? I don't think that we have talked about that here in this council. Right now, they have doubled the amount of people. They went from 250 to 500. What is the problem with that? We've discussed who these people are. Well, it turns out that the social worker there says 90% of the people do not have either a car or a license to drive. So now that it's going to be costing the Anacortes people extra money to buy tents and sleeping bags for these people to stay. Is the city of Sequim ready for that? Is the city of Sequim ready for the extra money that we're going to have to spend? The extra patrol officers that we're going to have? Are we ready to have the extra doctors? You know, we don't have a hospital right here, and I've brought this up in 2 or 3 of the meetings. Anacortes has 3 hospitals within 20 minutes. Here's a presentation for you on the locations. I think that's very important. This was ideally located. It was talked about by our sheriff here as being the place to go. But you're not going to have the same place. Right now, Costco is looking at extra money, and so is Home Depot, just so they can stay and they can have security. They're having problems. They're having problems in your city right now. What's going to happen when this happens and you have 500 people? Thank you very much.